Readers are leaders. It's something that you would have heard over and over again, right? Now, if you go to Google and look at top 5 or top 10 habits of successful people, one thing that is there common in almost every blog or every video is the habit of reading. Now, will you be successful? Probably not. But will you learn a lot? Yes. Once you learn, how you apply is what will make you successful. Now, almost everybody that I speak to, they fall under two categories. Either they read or they love to build a reading habit, but they have failed. So if you watch till the end of the video, I am going to be giving you a simple 3-step formula or a 3-step format which will help you build a habit for sure. This is a foolproof way. Apply it and I'm telling you, the results will blow your mind. Hello guys, welcome to Models of Excellence, where we tell you about tools, strategies, techniques and models to help you lead an excellent life. Now, when you read books, the fascinating thing about reading books is this, that it's not so short that it's like a video, but it's not too big that it takes your life experience. It's right in between a short video and a life experience. Somebody who takes their experience, their research, their work, and they compress it down to an extent where you can learn. That's amazing. You don't have to go through their failures. You don't have to go through their work. You can get the direct result or end result of their research, of their work, which is amazing. Now with that said, let's begin with the steps. Step number 1, pick an easy book to read. Look, if you're starting out to build this habit, don't get some astrophysics or don't get some math or algebra or some sort of very complex topics. Get something that's an easy read. Remember, the goal of this is to build a reading habit, not to actually make you read in the short term. Because if I inspire you to read a book, you might read a book and then stop and then get tired. But if I teach you to build a reading habit, if you build a reading habit, in long term, you'll read a lot more than a book. Now, one way to pick a book that you enjoy is figure out what you want to improve in your life. Again, don't go into some very complex stuff. It could be simple, like relationships. Maybe you want to improve your relationships. Maybe you want to feel more happy. Maybe you want to lead a more active life. Simple things like this. So pick a book in this segment, in the segment that you are interested in. The reason being, when you connect your book to a purpose, you are more likely to read and even learn from it. So step number 2, schedule. So there was this author speaking, I don't remember the name of the author, and he was talking about how he puts out bestseller books. He says that he schedules time every single day. He said that if I don't schedule, I can't do it. I will miss it. So one tip he gives for other writers, he was giving for other writers in his video was that schedule it, right? Put it down in the calendar, make a plan and schedule it. So schedule it. You can do it in morning, afternoon, evening or night. Now, because we're starting off with this, make a point to schedule just 5 minutes. That's all. 5 minutes. Schedule 5 minutes for your reading time. Do it for a week and then you can increase it eventually. But 5 minutes. Now here's another pointer. Very important point. You need to be very careful about picking the time, because a lot of people either read at night before going to bed or as soon as they wake up. The problem is when you schedule at night, when you read a book, your mind is active, your imagination is active, and some people can't turn it off. So you end up thinking, your mind ends up thinking, overthinking, exploring with other ideas, and you might mess up your sleep. For me, it has happened many times when I read a book that really makes my imagination active. I'm probably not going to have a good sleep that night. I'm probably not going to be able to sleep for a few hours at least. So pick a time carefully like that. If night is comfortable for you, good, well and good. If early morning is comfortable for you, well and good. Afternoon, evening, whatever is comfortable for you, 5 minutes, schedule it, put it in your calendar. So step 3, minimum viable reading. So in one of the videos that we have done, if you would have seen about habit, we told you about this concept called minimum viable work. Now, by the way, if you want to learn how to build habit, you can click the link right here somewhere. You can click the pop-up here and it will take you to the video. Now, with that said, minimum viable work is the minimum amount of work that you can do to consider it as a work. So for example, if it's reading a book, what is the minimum thing that you can do that you consider as a habit? For me, look, if I'm really exhausted, if I'm like, you know what, I don't feel like reading at all, I read one line. That's all. I'll consider that. Now, why does this work? A lot of times what happens is, let's say people want to read. Okay. What you do is you say, you know what, I want to read. You take a book, you read 3 chapters. Because you're inspired, you're motivated, it's easy for you. The next day comes, maybe you got busy. Then what happens is you're like, you know what, that's okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes and then you might not feel like it, you know what, maybe day after tomorrow, I don't feel like it. And then what happens is, if you just go to sleep and don't care, that's okay. But the problem is you will start feeling guilty. You're like, I set this habit, I decided, but I'm not doing this. I feel guilty. It's just not a good feeling. It sucks out a lot of energy for you. And not only that, as you slowly stop leaving the habit, you completely leave it sometime down the line. You forget it, you're like, you know what, it's too tough, I'm probably not going to do it. So you have guilt and failure associated with your habit. And that's not a good combination. So select a minimum viable work. It could be anything. It could be just like, you know, taking a book and opening it. That could be minimum viable work. So keep it minimum, but not too minimum. Because I told you minimum viable work, don't decide to, you know, just look at the book and then say, you know what, I did the work. No. Read or open the book. I would say open the book at least. Then if you can read a book, reading one line could be minimum viable work. That is one. Now with that, there's another technique that you can do. You can select the maximum amount that you can read. Now when you start, if you are once you start reading one line, you more likely would get into a mood because you just started. Starting trouble is something that we all have. And once you start, you feel like, you know what, let me read few more. And then before you know it, you're reading 1 page, 2 page, 3 page. Don't overexhaust. Don't give yourself an excuse to not read tomorrow. You might feel like, you know what, I read 3 pages yesterday, I'm not going to read tomorrow. Don't do that. Set a maximum that you can read. Either a line or 2 pages or 3 pages. Right? Because we are building a habit. We are not only reading. We are building a reading habit. So do that. And once you set maximum, here's what is going to happen to you. You won't usually stick to minimum. If you pick minimum as 1 line and maximum as 2 pages, you're more likely are going to read somewhere in between, probably a page or something. So you end up reading a lot more than you decided to. So with that said, these 3 steps will help you. These are very, very practical steps. Go ahead, give it a shot and let me know how it worked out for you. I guarantee you, if you do it, start doing it from today. In the next 7 days, you won't be guilty. You'll be reading every single day and you'll feel very good about it. With that said, if you felt like you learned something practical, something that you could use in daily life, then leave a like and hit that subscribe button so you do not miss amazing videos like this that we put out. With that said, this is Abhishek signing off and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.